So now let's continue with some more news. And we have TASS News Agency's report that there was another exchange of POWs yesterday between Russia and the Kyiv regime. No information was shared with public about number of POWs that was released, but lately, developments that we are seeing lately might be seen as an indicator that sides are basically exchanging POWs on a principle of all for all. And if that is true, as some experts are suggesting in alternative media, then, Kyiv regime will receive probably more than 10,000 POWs, ones that express willingness to be exchanged. I guess another tens of thousands of POWs will stay in Russia because when they are captured, they are always being asked, do you want to be, participate in exchange program? So if POW says no, then I guess Russian side is securing their and classifying their names and to make sure that their relatives not going to be terrorized by Kyiv regime on Kyiv controlled territory. And those people that are refusing to be part of POW exchange probably would not be transferred to Moscow. But ones that are expressing willingness to be exchanged, they will be transferred. And last information on that matter that I remember is like 10 to 12,000 Ukrainian POWs that Russia is openly acknowledging, which means those people said that they want to be exchanged, right? So Russia will receive Russia will free all its POWs, all Russian POWs, and Ukraine will receive all POWs, all Ukrainian POWs that are wanted to be exchanged, and it's more than 10,000, I believe. Also, we have reports that Russian defense, according to Russian defense minister's announcement, settlement Mosovka was liberated in the Kharkov region, and this is a big deal, by the way, because Mosovka is basically outskirt, northern-western outskirt of Kupiansk, and let me show you on the map this area. So this is Kupiansk city, and this is Mosovka settlement, literally, I mean, bordering with the Kupiansk from northern western side. And it is becoming more and more clear that Russian armed forces basically encircling Kupiansk. Russian troops are on outskirts from northern western side, and I guess soon we will see significant increase in Russian military operations from southern side too, and eventually I guess it's only a matter of weeks at this point, and Kupiansk will end up either in full encirclement or in partial encirclement. But it seems like this is absolutely inevitable at this point. And also, Russian Defense Ministry reported that Novonikolayevka settlement in DPR were liberated. Also, this is third Novonikolayevka, if I remember correctly, that was liberated. There are so many villages, so many settlements in Ukraine have, and everywhere else, by the way, worldwide, have similar names, isn't it? And sometimes it does create confusion. And I've been asked, I mean, how many times you're going to liberate this settlement? Dear friends, there is settlements that have like 2, 3, 4, 5 settlements that have a similar name. They are just in different regions, right? Different directions, different districts, and so on. And what you're going to do, when report is that Novonikolayevka is liberated, then, I'm going to report about it. Just about a week ago, I was reporting about liberation of another Novonikolayevka, which is in Sumy direction, isn't it? If I remember correctly. After all, I'm not an expert in the geography of this former Soviet Republic. But this is happening quite often when many settlements have a similar name. RIA Novosti is also reporting that, according to governor of Kherson region, Vladimir Saldo, islands in the Dnieper River, Dnieper Delta, have been completely liberated from Kiev regime's forces, and Russian troops are now increasing their presence on their islands to make sure that these islands would not be used by Kiev regime to prepare attacks on the left bank of the Dnieper River. And I guess this step-by-step progress can be seen as an indicator that Russian troops are gradually preparing ground big time for a very serious offensive operation in Kherson direction, with the crossing of the Dnieper River and potentially amphibious operations through sea. But I think we are getting closer to the moment when Russian troops will begin sectoral scale offensive operations on the west bank of the Dnieper River. Then it's going to be Nikolaev region, then Odessa region. As I said many times before, I'm absolutely convinced, by the way, that once this conflict will end, most likely there will be no more Ukraine on the political map. Russia will liberate all of it from this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky, with the exception of western parts of Ukraine that used to be part of Poland, Hungary, Romania, in past, right? At some point, part of Czechoslovakia, for example. I mean, Transcarpathia was taken from Hungary after First World War and given to Czechoslovakia, right? So Western Ukraine eventually will end up being reclaimed by Poland, Hungary, and Romania. I have no doubts about it. And the rest will be liberated by Russian side. All the territories from Kharkov region to Odessa region, at least, will join Russian Federation, most likely. The rest might maintain statehood, but only in the zone of Russian sphere of influence, while being completely free from the Western proxies. Either that or all of it will join Russia, including Kyiv, by the way. We will find out, but Ukraine, as we knew it, is finished. It is what it is. And for good, by the way, because such an entity, such an artificial entity, was and still is, by the way, danger of stability for whole of Europe, not just for Russia, but for all of Europe. Let me continue with some more news. And Russian envoy to UN, Nebezhny, stated that immediate negotiations with Russia are Ukraine's only chance. So only an immediate start of constructive negotiations with Russia can save Ukraine from total disaster, Russian permanent representative to UN, Vasily Nebezhny, stated. And he is correct. And he also went to say that Russia suggests holding next round of Istanbul talks after June 22nd. So if Kyiv regime will accept this, or if Western backers of Kyiv regime will accept this, then probably before end of this month, we will see third round of direct talks between Russia and their Kyiv regime in Istanbul. Let's see how will situation develop. Also, I shared on my Telegram and Twitter X page this information that Russian president yesterday on the sidelines of St. Petersburg International Economic Forum was asked about Ukrainian crisis, obviously, and he said that Russians and Ukrainians are one people, and in that sense, all of Ukraine is ours. But we never challenged anyone's right to seek sovereignty. He said he was commenting on new regions, by the way, but he also went to say that, well, we are one people, so therefore all of Ukraine is us, right? He has a point there, with the exception of Western Ukraine, by the way. Galicia, you know what? Let's leave it for Poles, Hungarians, and Romanians to deal with Western Ukraine. and all those fascists and neo-Nazis and the terrorists that for whom Western Ukraine is a breeding ground, like for decades and decades and decades. But the rest of the territory, as I already said, will either join Russia completely, or definitely from Kharkiv to Odessa, potentially even Sumy region, Chernihiv region, we will see. And Ukraine, if Ukraine will stay on the political map only as a landlocked state, Kyiv and few surrounding regions, and only in Russian sphere of influence. That's it, man. There is no other way. And the Russian president was also asked, maybe somewhat surprisingly for many, about risks of Ukraine using dirty bomb against Russia. And dear friends, my take on Ukrainian crisis. I said many times before that I believe globalists are planning as a next phase of escalation with Russia, transformation of Kyiv regime into a nuclear-armed regime. And I'm afraid the UK, British and US scientists, British and US experts, maybe already have assembled several dirty bombs, so-called dirty bombs, with radioactive materials from Ukraine, so that if they will detonate these dirty bombs, radiation can be traced back to reactors, nuclear reactors that are located in Kyiv-controlled territory. I think risk is real, and Russian leadership did spoke about this topic several times. And yesterday, Russian president was asked directly about this such a risk, and he said that Ukraine using dirty bomb against Russia would be a colossal mistake. Maybe it would be their last mistake. Our response would be catastrophic. That's what Russian president said. And yet again, I don't think this topic, if it has no ground, would be discussed on such high level. So therefore, I'm afraid this is my prediction that out of desperation, globalists are planning to transfer this current terrorist regime of Zelensky into a nuclear-armed terrorist regime is a serious risk. I think my prediction is correct on this matter, and we are receiving, as many other predictions, by the way, that initially very few people were understanding, and after time, well, more and more people were writing me that, you know what, you were correct on that and this, and okay. I guess 30 years in journalism did equip me with certain tools to be good at this. But Russian president's response was not the only one that Russian media is paying attention to. Former Russian president and current deputy chairman of the Security Council, Dmitry Medvedev, also commented on this matter and said Russia will respond with a clean bomb to the use of dirty one against it. So the deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council added that he would remain silent about the consequences for future life and their environment, but Kyiv should have a good understanding of them. We have a quote from his statement about possible attempts by the enemy to create and use the so-called dirty bomb, which the president spoke about yesterday. This would, of course, be an extremely dangerous provocation, which would have to be responded to proportionally. With the what? With a clean bomb, tactical nuclear weapon. We have enough of them. This is the same mirror response that the head of the state spoke about. He wrote on a Telegram channel. So yet another warning, I will say, from Moscow. I think it would be better if Russian leadership will go into some more details and to acknowledge that Kyiv regime alone is unable to make a dirty bomb. So if they will have one, that means NATO countries participated in that, and Russia will respond to those NATO countries too. I mean, that would be better warning, better phrasing, in my personal opinion, but still warning is there, and globalists should think again and again and again how far they are willing to go in this proxy war against Russia, because once they will deploy nukes through their Ukrainian proxies, then I guess that's going to be it. Game is over at that point, and Russia will, and Russian leadership will have no option but take action, not just against this Western-backed terrorist regime of Zelensky with their whatever force is necessary, but against their masters too. And dear friends, let me give you a few more news. And I will end news segment on that. TASS news agency is reporting that, special envoy of Russian president stated that EU losses from a reduction of the gas supplies from Russia have already amounted to 1.3 trillion euros. Quite something, isn't it? So the European economies' losses for their reduction in gas supplies have already amounted to 1.3 trillion. The head of the Russia's Direct Investment Fund, special representative of the Russian president for investment and economic cooperation, Kirill Dmitriev, told the TASS about this on the sidelines of St. Petersburg's International Economic Forum. And by the way, 1.3 trillion is just for reduction of their Russian gas supplies. And I think this number would double or even triple if we take into account losses that European economies have due to all their sanctions, all the thousands and thousands of sanctions that Brussels and also United Kingdom imposed on the Russian economy, on different segments of the Russian economy. I remind you, dear friends, that before this proxy war began against Russia, and before this sanctions war, European Union was a major, number one trading partner with Russia. Number one trading partner with Russia. Now, number one trading partner is China, right? So, yet again, interesting numbers from Dmitriev. I think if we combine all the losses of EU economies due to these hostilities of the West towards, against Russia, overall losses will amount to at least 3 trillion euros at this point, which is huge, by the way. European economies, if you take it together, is quite a big one still. But even for it, 3 trillion, 3+ trillion is serious stuff. And after all, it's European economies that are experiencing the industrialization, right? And almost all leading European economies are in recession. RT is also reporting, and I will end new segment on this interesting news, that Russia signs a nuclear energy deal with their African state. Russia and Burkina Faso have formalized a deal to expand peaceful nuclear energy cooperation, including joint projects in radiation technologies and their training of specialists from the West African country, which is good news, by the way. Nowadays, Burkina Faso does make headlines worldwide due to its new leadership that is very focused on development of their country, infrastructural development, and their educational development, everything, right? During a recent visit of President of Burkina Faso in Russia, he was very focused on cooperation, on increase of cooperation in educational field, and the Russian side promised assistance in that. And clearly, two countries are getting closer and closer, and the cooperation is going to be in all directions, which will benefit both countries, of course. And this is example, by the way. Other countries are going to follow. And although it is also true that Russia has a great relationships with their basically majority of African nations, with majority, by the way, and many people in African countries remember and probably will never forget that their struggle for independence, during their struggle for independence, Moscow was their capital that was supporting them with many things, right? With many things, uh, financially, politically, militarily, also, and so on. And this tradition of friendly relationships gonna continue, gonna last forever, hopefully.
Hello everyone, I hope you find informative and useful this short clip from main news update, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. It might help to deal with the algorithm and reach wider audience. And if you like my work in general and want to support to save this media project, you can assist through several ways. You can donate to this project through PayPal platform or Boosty, also with the crypto currencies, or you can subscribe to my Patreon page and page on Boosty, where I have quite a lot of extra content on regular basis. All the links are on this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everyone who already helped and continues to support. Thank you.